Welcome to the inaugural episode, or I should say the movie trailer of sorts for Cake on Tuesday, the leadership blueprint celebrating innovators who balance growth, grit, and the power of play. I am not Elizabeth Bieniek, but I have the distinct privilege of introducing your host, Elizabeth. Congratulations on the launch of your podcast.
Thank you, Josh. I'm happy to be here at my own launch.
Yes. So, listen, I would love for you to just start right off and talk about what this podcast is, especially in light of the work that you've done historically.
Yeah, this is really a way for innovators, disruptors, people that don't fit the mold like me, to be able to share their stories about how our tagline is balancing growth, grit, and the power of play. And I think that really sums it up because anytime you're doing something new, different, and hard, you have to have a lot of fun on that journey. And it is a balancing act. You are learning as you go. So this podcast is really designed to elevate stories like that.
Yeah, and can I ask very specifically about the power of play? Because as I'm reading the subtitle here, and then all of a sudden you say power of play, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, what? Do you mind talking about that a little bit? Because I know that that's such an integral part of your work, and particularly your book, Cake on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think the title of the book and the podcast give you a hint that it's not just your average business podcast or book. And that's by design. I think a lot of times we take ourselves a little too seriously in the workplace, and
Mm.
that is such a huge innovation stifler. So if I could give anyone takeaway when people walking away from this is how important play is in the workplace. I think a lot of times that's looked at as a no-no, and we shouldn't be having fun at work. You need to be serious. You need to be hitting milestones and accomplish things. And yes, all that's important, but you should be having fun while you're doing it. Work is so much of our daily life. We spend so much of our time there. And if we are motivated and excited to be there, we're excited with the people we're working with, we're challenged and excited by what we're doing, we're gamifying things so they're fun as we do that, we're creating that environment and that culture for the people around us, you're going to have such a better outcome. So I wanted to introduce the idea of play as not something you just kind
Mm.
of do on the side as an afterthought, but as something that is crucial and integral to a part of your business.
Yeah, and what a great message for today. I think that there's a lot of disruption within organizations. Maybe there's some concerns, there's some stresses, and then I think you have your leaders, which I presume are going to be the types of folks that you're going to be having conversations with that are these true culture champions and recognize. And it almost feels like, Elizabeth, it's like setting culture with a degree of empathy to like what it was like to go into a workplace as a junior, person, and maybe you're a little bit newer there, and I can just tell you, I like going places that are fun. I like going to Disney World. Work is generally not like Disney World, but maybe we could
Well,
make
why
it.
not?
Yeah, I know. I'm right. Yeah. Who said? I like that. Who said that? Who said? But Elizabeth, share just a little bit maybe about some of the folks that I would say both you've had the opportunity and privilege to be able to work with, and then maybe featured in your book, and I think most importantly, are going to be featured on this podcast.
Yeah, I refer to myself sometimes as a recovering compartmentalist. And I think I spent a large portion of my early career really saying, this is my work life and this is my everything else life, and never the twain shall meet. And realizing after, I think it was my first management job where it was really forced upon me to realize not everyone approaches work the same way, and that you don't check all of your personal self at the door when you come into work. You really are the same person. And a lot of times it's that feeling of having that divide. And the show Severance is really popular right now of having
Mhm.
that clear divide of when you go to work and the two are not integrated at all. I think that's bringing to light maybe a lesser extreme of a lot of times we just feel like we can't bring all of ourselves to work. We can't have the fun and have the jokes and because we're not taking it seriously and we don't look the same way. And we start separating those two worlds. And so I find that I'm really attracted to like-minded people. So the people that I talk to, the clients I work with the best, the people I have the most fun conversations and work projects with are the ones that are the same way. They're kind of like, well, I didn't know if I could bring my full self here, but okay, you said that. So all right, I'm gonna bring this. And then you start having real authentic conversation and you realize you're just having fun. You're enjoying the time together. You are enjoying the journey together. And that's what's so important.
I love that. Hey, for someone, Elizabeth, that's not familiar with your work or what you do professionally, do you mind? I mean, obviously, you've written the book on this topic. It's called Cake on Tuesday, which is well beloved among people who love what you stand for. But do you mind maybe just sharing a little bit about like the work you do with your clients?
Yeah, I spent a lot of my corporate career in innovation and specifically technology innovation. So working on things that are very cutting edge or new that might impact your product, your product line or your business, not next quarter or next year, but possibly 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And I've really been interested in that challenge that a lot of business owners face of I have to meet my current quarter milestones. I have to satisfy my customers and my current product base, but at the same time, I need to be thinking about what's coming and make sure that I'm going to be relevant in the future. And that's a really hard line to balance and to straddle. And I did this for many years in a Fortune 100 company. And now I like working with small and medium-sized businesses who are and smaller enterprises that are looking at how do I make sure that I'm relevant and I'm innovating and I'm making that far enough leap in my innovation. I don't want to be so far that I'm losing my current customer base and you don't see the relationship between my existing product line, but it needs to be far enough that I'm just doing not just doing feature changes on what I have now. I don't know where that balance is between those two. So working with founders who are hey, I just want to get stuff done. I'm trying to meet the current milestones, but I want to be relevant in the future. How do I balance those? How do I get stuff done in that process? How do I get quick wins in my innovation to make sure I'm on the right path? And so I don't spend all this time optimizing an innovation journey and find out, you know what, that's not what my customers wanted and I left them behind. So how do I have mini milestones along the way to make sure that I'm innovating on the go? That's who I love working with because it's a hard challenge. It's a hard balance. So working with people who are facing that, it's really fun to find a way to how can we do these two hard things at the same time and still have fun in the process. A lot of people think that's too much like cake and ice cream and we can't have it all, but you can when you find that right balance, they do complement. And that's really fun and exciting when you uncover that.
So let's talk, Elizabeth. Our friend who's listening may know somebody who would be, they deserve to be celebrated here, right? Because again, we're looking for these, these great champions that are making workplaces fun again. Who would be an ideal guest for you, and what would you imagine talking about with that person?
Yeah, the business owner, founder, or senior leader who is the one that everybody is like, oh, yeah, you got to meet this person. They usually have some crazy story about when I first met them, they did this, or I joined their organization and I was really surprised by this. It's usually the person that's out front doing something different. And at first, it can look a little crazy, but you realize they end up building a team or a culture of people that just want to follow them and move forward and do something new and unique because there is a charisma there. A lot of times people who are willing to have that out front a little bit different, it's okay if people call me a little bit crazy approach. Those are your real innovators. Those are the ones that are doing something different and unique, and they don't always put that label on it. So sometimes when I'm talking with a leader like that and they're saying, hey, I've got this great culture and I got this great team, this existing product, but I don't know how this is not going to be relevant in 5 years when AI changes this or technology changes this, or I don't know how to move. And pointing out the fact of everything that you've done to be innovative with your existing organization, that's the same tactics and same approach you're going to apply to your product line. And it's not learning something brand new. It's actually taking those same things that you do naturally and applying it to your product base and your customers. And look, we're going to find some really cool stuff in that process. So the people that are open to that and saying, okay, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm going to embrace more of who I am, but in this new, different, scary area, and let's try it. Those people are the people I want to talk to.
So, to our friend that's listening, here's what you do. If you know somebody that deserves to be nominated, if you know someone personally that is kind of that, again, that the person that's bringing joy and fun into workplaces and just creating great things. I mean, I see personally, Elizabeth, I'm biased. I see no downside to making workplaces more fun. But we want to champion those that are doing this work. Here's what you do: you go to cakeontuesday.com. You click on podcast, and that's the show page. So to our friend that's listening, first off, please subscribe right now. Just hit that little plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, click on subscribe, wherever you happen to be listening to. You're going to want to listen to this. I think you're going to really be inspired, especially if you are in charge of, or you are responsible for workplace culture and great leadership and great environments to be able to do great things within. Now, again, go to cakeontuesday.com, click on podcast. That's the show page. Now, on that page, you're going to see either a button or a link, and it'll say apply to be a guest. And that's the URL. That's the page you just want to send to your leader within your organization. And let's celebrate great employers doing great things. Elizabeth, any kind of parting words? I think, as someone who's maybe stumbled upon this podcast, they're listening to the trailer now, and the transformation you hope to make in the world, both with the work that you're doing with your book and with your clients, and now with this podcast.
I think I would just end it on the fact I think there's good and exciting and magic in the world. And I think you can find that in the most unique places. So I love to find a way to tease out and elevate those stories of in the workplace, in the business place. What is something that was magical that you encountered? What is something that somebody did that maybe you noticed that nobody else saw, but it made a world of difference? I love to take those stories and elevate them. So again, if you know somebody who fits that criteria and like, you know what, this person, they're a little bit out there, but there's some magic there. I'd love to talk to them and elevate their story.
Elizabeth Bieniek, founder, CEO of Cake on Tuesday, author of the book Cake on Tuesday, and now podcast host for Cake on Tuesday, the leadership blueprint, celebrating innovators who balance growth, grit, and the power of play. I'm going to switch chairs with you. Thank you for letting me warm you up and get you introduced to the crowd. Now I get to hit subscribe and binge listen to every episode because I want to work in a fun place. Congratulations.
Thank you. Time for some cake.